Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Alex Bradley coming at you from Anything Geeky Reviewed, and today we're actually going to be reviewing Shadows of Mordor: Middle-earth. It is a action RPG kind of stealth game. It kind of came out of nowhere, really. I mean, it was announced about a year ago at least, but it wasn't, and nobody really expected it to be a great game, so it's actually done really well for itself. Basically, the game is you play a ranger who's found himself morphed with a wraith. Now, your family has been murdered, you have been killed, and the wraith has actually brought you back from the dead. The wraith actually gives you some useful abilities, including, like you can see here, the ability to actually kind of capture wildlife and creatures and use them to your advantage. You do later on get the ability to use exactly the same ability against the orcs, and you can create your own orc army. The game actually is quite unique, and I found actually really quite entertaining. The combat system is kind of nicked straight out of Batman Arkham Asylum or Arkham City, so that actually is quite a good combat system. It actually works really well with the sword. Bow combat is kind of similar to what you'd expect from, say, Assassin's Creed or anything really with kind of archery in it. You do have mounted combat with the beasts that you can ride. The story actually is this kind of cinematics. You do get a few cinematics like this coming in, and the cinematics are actually quite good. We'll just watch this one just to give you a glimpse of what they are like.
Come with me. Come with me. Come on.
Now you're actually helping your mate in this one rescue his wife. She's a bit deluded at the moment. Now your objective in the game is actually to kill the guy who killed your family, basically, and you, known as the Black Hand, and he's kind of the right hand of Sauron.
I knew you were alive. I knew it.
There will be more battles, Talion, but we will find our peace.
As you can tell, the voice acting in this game is actually really good. The voice actors are actually quite big voice actors in the voice industry, so they actually got some good talent for the job. Now, during the game, you actually get to find artifacts like this all over the place, and they actually give you kind of backstory. As you can see, you can listen to what the backstory is. Now, obviously, the main part of the game is going to involve death. You die a lot in this game. Whether you're quick enough to kind of react to it or not, you will die. And the beauty of this is the fact that it uses the Nemesis system. Now, this Hosgrish has killed me, and now because of that, he's actually become a captain. Now, what happens when he becomes a captain is he gains certain abilities, weaknesses, and strengths, and then he can basically raise himself up through the ranks to become even more powerful. Now, he can do that either by killing you again and again, or he can kill his other orc captains and raise in rank that way. Now, the higher the power of each orc captain, the more abilities they have, and often the less weaknesses they have. So they often become a lot harder to kill the more powerful they become. This actually makes a game really, really unique. It means you can play the game several times. A lot of the captains will be kind of random every time, and death in this does not kind of mean the end of the game, which I think is an absolutely brilliant idea. It means that, you know, dying is not just game over, it's actually part of the game, and it actually makes it quite fun and unique to die in the game, which, yeah, I think's really nice for a change, rather than just kind of having the boring old, well, you've got to redo all that crap again. You can die in this game as many times as you want. What happens is, basically, the more you die, the more captains you'll have, you know, the more powerful they'll be. This game does have actually stealth, actually. The stealth I find is nicked straight from pretty much Assassin's Creed. But the beauty of the stealth in this is actually, it's a lot better than Assassin's Creed. It does what Assassin's Creed seems to have forgotten. Actually takes stealth, so you know, being sneaky and quiet is actually quite useful in this, because often the way you die in this game is because you're outnumbered. Most of the time you're outnumbered, especially when trying to take on some of the bigger war chiefs. So sneaking around and often eliminating some of the extra guards actually gives you quite a big advantage, and often, depending on the captain, you can actually sneak and take down the captains in one foul blow. So that's actually a really nice feature, and I wish Assassin's Creed would kind of use its assassinations a bit more. This actually proves that it does work really well. Now, captains, the main part of the game is actually taking out captains and war chiefs. That's how you kind of lure the Black Hand out in most of the story. So learning how to take them on is kind of part of the game. Now, most of the lower captains don't take a lot to take down. You can often just fight them, and they only have small mobs with them. The later, more powerful captains have bigger armies that follow them around, bodyguards with the war chiefs, and obviously a lot more strengths and less weaknesses. So it's often advisable to kind of plan your route or learn their weaknesses, because often learning their weaknesses can give you a big advantage. Certain captains or war chiefs are scared of animals, or they can be taken down with stealth, or they're vulnerable to melee or ranged combat. So it's always good to kind of learn the strengths and weaknesses of the enemy, especially if you're facing a particularly tough enemy. The combat, like it says in this, is quite actually, I find, quite addictive. Similar to Batman's Arkham City or Arkham Asylum, it doesn't get boring very quickly. I actually found quite enjoyable for quite large lengths of time, which it surprised me to some extent, because I expected to get bored of it. I mean, obviously, if you're going to be playing this a couple of times over, you're probably going to get sick of the combat. There's not a lot of variety to the kind of move lists you can do, but it feels very fresh as you're playing it, especially for the first time. Now, ranged combat obviously is pretty much just shooting a bow, but it does add a bit of difference to it. You do get quests everywhere that allow you to actually unlock better, a kind of legendary weapon, a legendary sword, a legendary dagger, and a legendary bow. Now, each one of these consists of several different tasks throughout the game. Shadows of Mordor is actually an open world game, and to be honest, it does it really well. That it's not a huge open world, but it fills it with plenty of quests, plenty of side activities, plenty of enemies. You're always kind of on the lookout for new captains to take down. You're always kind of looking around for new artifacts to find, and the world, even though it doesn't feel huge, as in when you look at it, it doesn't look huge. It feels quite well fleshed out, which is something that I think a lot of open world games do fail to do. Middle-earth does that very well, and makes a kind of very enjoyable environment to just kind of mess around in. I mean, this is one of those kind of games you can play it for the story, which isn't particularly great. It's an interesting story, but it's kind of a little bit weak on the actual length and cutscenes you get. But it's a game you can jump into and just randomly enjoy the game for hours on end, just killing random captains and goblins and orcs. So that's quite cool. You do have an upgrade system, which we're showing off just right now. The upgrade system in this is actually quite good, because it always feels like you're progressing through the game. You're never feeling like you've got every ability until right at the end of the game. Every new level that you unlock allows you to kind of activate more powerful abilities that kind of chain onto each other, which I found really, it was quite exciting actually, just to progress through the game, and I would find myself getting more and more powerful, and you'd come across goblin captain or orc captains that you then need some of those abilities against to really help you take them down. Generally, it's not too difficult to level up. You just kind of have to earn power abilities by obviously taking down more captains. There is a weapon upgrade system. You don't really swap weapons. Obviously, there are the legendary weapons you can unlock, but really you keep the main weapons throughout the entire game. You have a sword, a dagger, and a bow. And using runes that you can unlock or find off dead captains and war chiefs, you can kind of improve each weapon slightly by giving it kind of hitting enemies a certain amount of times gives you a health boost, or countering gives you critical hit chances, things like that. They're not huge buffs, but they do often give you the little edge that you need to kind of defeat some of the tougher enemies, and although they don't feel like they're massive bonuses, it's nice just to have a little bit of an upgrade system in the game to kind of give you something to work towards when it comes to your weapons. But it's also nice not to have to keep swapping weapons every 5 seconds as you would find in some RPGs, which is good. It keeps the pace quick and well thought out. Personally, this is my favourite Lord of the Rings game ever. The only exception to that is maybe the GameCube or the PS2 RPG. I think it was called Lord of the Rings: A Third Age. That's probably my second favourite. But Shadows of Mordor, for anybody who's looking for a Lord of the Rings game or an action game or a one-on-one, kind of a group open world fighting game, this does it really well. It does it, it's really enjoyable, and you can definitely get your money's worth out of the game, even at its full price. So for us, it's definitely a buy. We're not going to give a review score. Our written article does have a review score, so please check that out if you do want that. But for us, it is definitely a buy if you're a fan. Good day, and thank you.
So you probably just finished watching my review of Middle-earth Shadows of Mordor. I just wanted to drop a message on the end of the review. I know that the game has been getting a lot of crap lately simply because of the way it handled review copies. I didn't get a review copy. A lot of people didn't get review copies. To be honest, I don't care. I bought the game because I thought it was going to be a brilliant game. I think it still is a brilliant game. There's still plenty of gamers and reviewers out there that have reviewed it very highly. But there has been a lot of crap going around about the way they handled it, and from what I've seen, they handled it really bad. They didn't kind of give review copies to everybody that they should have done. They limited it to people who could have contracts, who they could pay or convince to do only positive reviews, things like that. So they did restrict the reviews, which I think is a really stupid thing to do. Everybody knows that. Jim Sterling's now done a video. TB's talked about it. What can you say? Freaking game developers, game publishers, they freaking do stupid things sometimes. This is one of them. It, however, does not affect the game. Everything I said in the review, everything that's in my written review on the website is accurate. I have had a brilliant time with this game. This is one of my favourite Lord of the Rings games. I know that one of the things in their contracts was you're not supposed to mention it's a Lord of the Rings game. Stupid things, but yeah, it's one of my most favourite Lord of the Rings games so far. It is just a brilliant game. The whole game just comes together and performs, absolutely brilliantly. So I know that there's a load of crap going around. Try and read a few reviews, watch a few videos, see what you think before you end up making the decision, guys. Because it's always good to kind of get a general opinion of the game anyway, but I absolutely love this game. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you guys have a good evening.